Thanks for joining today's snapshot for the people of Dr. Martin Luther Church and other friends. Today on January 27th, we observe the feast day of John Chrysostom. Chrysostom, John Chrysostom. His name means golden mouthed because he was one of the early leaders of the Christian church, preaching in the late 300s and early 400s. During that first century when Christianity was actually allowed and established. He was a fabulous preacher. People flocked to hear his sermons, and he was a great public speaker, and he spoke out against excesses by the emperor and other clergy, as a matter of fact, cared greatly for the poor. And his sermons were copied and by hand, of course. The printing press was 1,100 years away, and distributed. Sadly, some of the sermons that were distributed were 8 sermons that were full of anti-Semitic comments. Listen to this. He wrote these words: "We accuse Jews of their deception of the poor, their thieveries, their huckstering. They're most miserable of all people, lustful, rapacious, greedy, inveterate murderers." On and on it goes. Because he was so popular, his sermons against Jews helped to establish anti-Semitism within the early church. So what do you make of John Chrysostom? Should we observe his holiday or his feast day as one of the great leaders of the church because he was like the first great Christian preacher? Or do we ignore it? That's a great dilemma for us in the church, because Martin Luther, who we love so much, we named our church after him, also said these words about Jews: poisoners, ritual murderers, usurers, parasites on Christian society, worse than devils. What do you say about that? How do we still honor Martin Luther, who Life magazine, as I mentioned in a snapshot several months ago, named one of the 3 most important people of the last century because his import on humanism and the rise of scientific thought? What do you think about your driving a Ford vehicle? Henry Ford said these words: "The international Jew is the conscious enemy of all the Anglo-Saxons mean by civilization." Do you never buy a Ford because Henry Ford was a terrible anti-Semite? It's a dilemma. What do you do about a guy like David Haas? This isn't about anti-Semitism, but David Haas was a hymn writer who wrote 4 hymns in our hymnal. "Blessed are they, the poor in spirit, theirs is the kingdom of God." You know that hymn. "And we are called to love one another." Well, he didn't love one another when he sexually abused dozens of women who have come forward in the last 6 months. Do we ever sing one of his hymns again? I don't think so. I would not want to be a sexually abused woman sitting in a church singing one of his hymns. I think they're just out of bounds. In the case of Luther, we have refuted his anti-Semitism. With John Chrysostom, his anti-Semitic thoughts have been repudiated throughout Christianity. And Henry Ford died a long time ago. So I think what we do in this regard is hold up the best of what they said and realize that they were also failed human beings, as we all are. And when it's appropriate, we no longer follow what they said, particularly when the people are still living, like David Haas. We close with this hymn to a Jewish tune: "The God of Abraham praise, who reigns enthroned above, ancient of everlasting days and God of love. I am the one I am, by earth and heaven confessed. I bow and bless the sacred name, forever blessed." God bless you. Have a great day.